All right. I was just doing, not the Will Smith. Well, Will Smith cousin name on the show.
Carlton.
I was just doing the Carlton shuffle just now. You almost caught me. All right, guys, it's 19 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. It's the No Morning Show here on CTT. Thank you so much for joining us or for staying with us. We appreciate you. And so we're going across the Tobago, of course, and we're going to be talking to the lone P&M Ranger in the THA executive at this time, and that is Mr. Kelvon Morris, minority leader of the THA. Good morning to you, Mr. Morris.
Good morning, Natalie. Good morning to all of Trinidad and Tobago. And please permit me to wish you and all of Trinidad and Tobago a Happy New Year and all the best for 2022. Please stay safe. And we are hoping that by the grace of God, we are able to really withstand the threat of this deadly virus, COVID-19.
Thank you so much, and many happy returns to you as well. Well, since you mentioned the COVID-19, we're seeing some kind of snag with this idea of a safe zone policy in the public sector between the central government and the THA. Because according to Mr. Augustine, at cursory glance, it doesn't appear as if this is something that will fit to the THA. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Natalie, the policy at the end of the day, we must understand what is the intention. And the intention is really to save lives while preserving livelihoods. And this is why my encouragement to Mr. Augustine is not to throw away the baby with the bathwater, but let us have the engagements, let us have the conversation, and so that we all can be at a common place at the end of the day. So it should not be that we are attempting to have conflict, but it should be that both the policy in Trinidad and the policy in Tobago is one where the policymakers and the government, as in terms of the central government and the Tobago House of Assembly, is working together to ensure that at the end of the day, we are able to preserve the lives of Trinidad and Tobago citizens as well as livelihoods.
You know, I never thought that Mr. Augustine was trying to create conflict. I really do believe him when he says that, you know, the landscape of Tobago is different, because I too recognize that. And it's a problem we have all the time where, you know, we have something that's tailor-made to the two islands, and a lot of times we hear Tobagonians complain that the situation is different and therefore has to be treated differently. Don't you believe that there are merits to that, that there's merit to that argument?
Natalie, of course, in terms of the islands, there are stark differences, as you would know. But in terms of the COVID-19 situation that we face globally, the science is telling us that, you know, you are better off as a nation and as an island and as a country, having reached full inoculation, having your workforce inoculated. And I think at the end of the day, that is what the policy is seeking to achieve. Mr. Augustine, by his own admission, did indicate that we have a serious challenge in Tobago when it comes to the persons in the public sector taking the vaccine. So therefore, it means that we must work together to find a way to encourage persons to be vaccinated, one, and at the end of the day, also to ensure that we can continue to preserve the lives of our citizens, that we can continue to also take the burden off of the health system. Because as you would know, Natalie, in Tobago, we had reached crisis stage coming into the new year, where we had alarming death rates as well as infection rates as well. So it is important that we continue to encourage persons to get vaccinated in Tobago, because the science is showing that it is really the majority of persons that are succumbing to this virus are persons who are mainly unvaccinated.
I like the way you say that the majority are mainly those who are unvaccinated. Sometimes some other people need to listen to you and probably put it that way. But anyways, when it comes on to, we've seen since the new executive took up office that there are some slight changes happening. And from the people that I've spoken to thus far, I seem to be getting positive feedback about what the PDP is doing at the THA. as that lone PNM person within the camp, how do you feel about, how things are unfolding within the THA these days?
Naturally, firstly, my commitment has always been that whatever is good for Tobago, I would give support. I would lend my voice even to help it, to make it even better. And where there are challenges, where there are issues to be addressed, I would also be there ensuring that this administration is held to account. And therefore, when you look at what would have been done on a very cosmetic level, on a surface level, yes, there have been some changes. In fact, there are some that persons have challenges with, and there are some persons are commending. But at the end of the day, we must ensure whatever is done in the best interest of Tobago.
What are some of those issues that change that people are having challenges with?
Well, of course, you would have seen the announcement made by the Honorable Chief Secretary with respect to the removal of the dress code policy. And while on the surface that is indeed commendable, because at the end of the day, we are over time, you have to make amendments to certain policies to be relevant to the experiences and circumstances of a nation. But at the same time, you have to understand why that policy was in place, why the policy was there in the first place. And what persons are saying to me is that, yes, there's need to adjust the policy, but to remove the policy all entirely is one of concern, because it means, therefore, that this policy was in place to ensure we had standards in the conduct of public business. But when you remove it carte blanche, it then means that you allow for chaos and confusion, because removing the policy means anyone can come into a public office, a public space, with no real standard in any kind of condition. In fact, they can come in their underwear based on the way the policy was articulated. So persons have concerns. Of course, we welcome the adjustment, because we don't want, a policy should not leave anyone behind. But at the same time, there must be some level of standards maintained in the policy.
How do you feel, having been a part of an administration that maintained a policy that left a lot of people behind?
Well, as I said, there's always opportunities for things to be updated and reviewed. And perhaps this new administration, had we been elected, would have also reviewed it, but reviewed it in a way to ensure that we strike a balance between, inclusivity and at the same time ensuring we maintain the relevant standards in public business.
Kelvon, let me ask you, when you sit and you look at the election results and the fact that the People's National Movement has ruled the THA for so long, what do you think the people of Tobago are telling the People's National Movement when you look at the results of the election? Not only just one, but the two.
Of course, Natalie, persons really were moved by the message of change. And, it means that we as a party, we have to do the introspection as well and see what aspect of our party also needs to change, also needs to modernize, and be even more relevant to the needs, the dreams, and aspirations of those we wish to serve. So I think the movement for change, a party being in office for 5 consecutive terms and also in a 6-6 scenario and a pandemic, would have really given rise to and the message of the PDP as well, which said, let us fix this, let me fix this. The fix-it message in terms of persons who would have been disappointed over a period of time would have really resonated. And it means now that we also have to do some fixing, we now have to do some adjusting, and we now have to do the work to make sure that when another opportunity arises, we are more relevant, we are more attractive, and we can be an alternative to what is currently on offer.
In 2013, we saw the TOP lose all the seats. It was 12-0. And in 2020, which year is it, 2021, December, we saw you being the only person from the People's National Movement who was able to retain his seat. Do you think this is also an opportunity for you to go ahead now and put your hat in the ring where political leadership of the Tobago PNM Council is concerned? Because really it has to be something why you're the only person who was left standing. Not even the political leader of the Tobago PNM Council was able to win her seat. And somehow the people still chose you. So do you believe that should act as a catalyst for you to take up leadership?
Actually, that is a catalyst for me to continue doing the things I've been doing, which is really focusing, on representing people, focusing on finding means and ways to support the persons on the ground, the persons who need help the most. And for me, this next 48 months, that is my focus, to ensure that as representative of the electoral district of Darrell Spring Wim, I'm able to realize the goods and services, realize, the things that are important to them. And as minority leader, I am able to hold this administration honest, ensure there's transparency, accountability, and good governance. And that is where my focus will be over the next 48 months. Of course, as I'm a member of the People's National Movement, and I would hope and I would, be part of that transformation, and that has to happen going forward. But in terms of leadership, that is the least of my focus at the party level.
All right. Yeah, you probably should rethink that, man. At the party level, it might not be the best idea, but maybe for the people it is. What comes first? What the party wants or what the people wants?
But at the end of the day, I would continue to give service wherever. And at this point, I'm elected. And it just happened that I was the only one. I'm elected as a representative and in default minority leader because I was the only one. But as you can understand, I'm quite new to the politics. I'm still learning, and I'm always willing to listen. So it would take some time in terms of my own ambition for me to get up to a place of even considering anything as party leadership.
Right. What do you think it is? What do you think it was about your strategy, your campaigning strategy, or even your service that made the people, that gave you that little nudge, that little extra oomph, so that you could have won the Darrell Spring Wim seat?
I think Kelvon Morris is part of a PNM that people want to see, a new, fresh, energetic, passionate PNM. And it is because I was already, because we had excellent candidates, but because I would have had 10 months to really illustrate those qualities, perhaps gave me an edge in the final analysis. But it doesn't mean that those who were not chosen were not excellent candidates as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the nature of the politics, is that people put themselves forward and somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And it doesn't discount, the person or persons who would have lost, at least not all the time. So what can we expect to see from Kelvon Morris over the next 48 months? You say you want to serve the people, but, and to keep the THA in check, to keep accountability. Let me change that question. So where you are now, and for the few weeks that you've been a part of this new executive, what has that experience been like?
Well, it has been a quick learning curve. Settling into the role of minority leader, also establishing and re-establishing some of the programs that we would have implemented as a representative. And it also means treating with the issues as they come, as well. Of course, COVID is one that is currently grappling our attention. So at the level of area representative, we have some very exciting and innovative programs. We have the Sunday Wheels on Meals, where we share hot meals to families. We have the Food and Clothing Bank, where we treat with our most vulnerable, and we have our home improvement lend a hand program as well, where we treat with families needing quick fixes, vulnerable families needing small fixes in their homes. We have a number of what I would say community-based programs that we also intend to roll out. And at the same time, in the Office of the Minority Leader, we are looking at starting our consultations with the length and breadth of Tobago, so that we can better understand the issues, so that I, as minority leader, would be able to be in a better position to represent those issues, those concerns, and articulate it in a way that ensures we have meaningful dialogue across the board. So it's exciting times. It is something that I look forward to. I relish serving people. Is a passion of mine, and I continue just to really put the Almighty first and follow His divine direction.
All right, Kelvon, I want to just thank you for speaking with us this morning, and I wish you all the best. To stick with the people. At the end of the day, we're all here to serve the people in our varying capacities. So I think if you stick with the people, you should be okay.
Definitely. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
All right, thank you, and the same to you. Kelvon Morris, Minority Leader in the Tobago House of Assembly, and the only People's National Movement candidate who was able to get that nod at the polls on December 6th.